I want to get back to crypto here, and I want to talk about the possibility of a Bitcoin strategic reserve. You think about this rally that we're seeing in Bitcoin, which is one of the purest supply and demand markets. And one of the reasons I keep hearing is that there's a lot of optimism that we could see the United States government buy up to $1 million worth of Bitcoin. Now that you do have all these crypto advocates in Congress, are you confident that we could see something like that?
I still think it's a low probability, right? You know how Congress works. The House gets excited or the executive gets excited and the Senate says, calm down, right? That's the role of the Senate. And while the Republicans control the Senate, they don't have 60 seats. They don't have close to 60. And so, listen, I think it would be very smart for the United States to take the Bitcoin they have and maybe add some to it and say, we want to show the world that we're going to be a technology first country, a crypto digital asset first country. I don't necessarily think the dollar needs anything to back it up. We have the strongest military in the world. We have the dominant economy in the world and the reserve currency we've earned. And to need to back up the reserve currency is counterintuitive. And so, again, listen, if we get the Bitcoin reserve, and as a guy that owns a lot of Bitcoin, I will not cry. And if you see me crying, there'll be crocodile tears. I think Bitcoin heads to 500,000. Again, it's a whole different paradigm because it forces every other country in. Countries are already buying it. I've got a dear friend, the guy that actually turned me on to Bitcoin in 2013, who's in the Mideast right now, and he said he's never seen anything like it. He's convincing more people to buy Bitcoin in the 3 days he's been there than any time in his whole career. And they're huge pools of capital. And so we're seeing something globally. When Trump advocated in Nashville that he was going to be a crypto president, a Bitcoin president, and now he's the president, let me tell you, other leaders heard that. And so I think we're strapping in for what could be an amazing rally.
I want to get back to your point on, hyperinflation, Mike, or at least more than 4%. I look at a longer-term chart of Bitcoin, say 5 years, and in that run-up, post or during COVID, I always see an inflation indicator here. I know that there was a lot of helicopter money that helped out as well as people being home with nothing to do, but to me, it was an indication that at least this community saw massive inflation coming, and that was borne out. Do you not see the most recent run-up as the same sort of signal?
Yeah, listen, so when the government's printing as much money as the Bitcoin narrative, the only narrative really for Bitcoin is it's a hard asset in a world where you're going to debase fiat currencies. Like, that's the story. Forget any other story. Like, when Bitcoin, they say, oh, we're going to be level 2s and we're going to do NFTs on it. I always think that just confuses the story.
My eyes glaze over. Yeah.
The story is digital gold. It is a hard asset that's believed to be a hard asset by the people that participate in its community. And it's really hard in a world of populism, not just in the United States, all over the world, for governments to not want to spend more. And every single government is spending more than they take in.
But Mike, isn't that run up to 500,000? I mean, if it happens in the short term, without a strategic Bitcoin reserve, it's going to mean 6, 7, 8, 9% inflation.
Let me be really clear. I don't want it to happen in the short term unless there's a Bitcoin strategic reserve, because that's a different story. Then it's just a scramble. It's a crazy scramble to get the hot commodity. If it would happen naturally, it means we're starting to have hyperinflation, and then we start to lose civil society. Like, in every country that you look at that experiences hyperinflation, the results are really crappy.
Mike, how soon do you get to 500,000? That's kind of a stunning level to think about, but we're probably going to hit $100,000 this year if we keep on going at this rate.
Yeah. So listen, the total market cap of gold, I think, is like 16 trillion, right? And so that's 800,000 Bitcoin. So when does Bitcoin become gold? Like, there's a new generation that cares more about Bitcoin than they care about gold. I'm turning 60 next week, and so I still own a bunch of gold. I'm an old guy. But let me tell you, no 40-year-olds on gold, no 30-year-olds on gold. And so as we see this generational shift, like, Bitcoin should match gold within 5 or 10 years. And that gets you to 800,000. That's with current gold prices. I think gold's going higher.